He's going to beat the shit out of Dricus Du Plessis on January 20th.
We've been rocking since the sandbox, man. Stop playing with my dog, Scuba Steve. He the man, got plans, bro, to give him what you need. Hot damn, from the court to the field, they elite. I'm saying why, yes, got the hot takes and loose, stay checking. Talking about all the highlights from alleys to interceptions, from tutties to dope receptions and fantasy week projections. And honestly, think you gotta tune in to get the message. Let's go.
Sean Strickland was on Theo Vons' podcast the day after the Colby Covington card, and this has been a really, really hot, popular topic as of late, because anything with Sean Strickland has been incredibly entertaining, no matter what it is. But this showed us a little bit of a different side. What happened was he goes on, they start diving in deep, and he starts crying a little bit on the podcast. Not a little bit, he broke down a little bit. Now, we all know Sean Strickland is the rough, the rugged guy who anything that comes to his mind, he just says it, whether it's profanity, whether it's rude, non-PC, whatever comes to his mind, he just says it. But in this podcast, for the first hour and a half, they're just kind of broing out really good, funny comedy, the kind of conversations that you don't really put on camera, but it's Sean Strickland, so it's on camera. And then he starts talking about his history and his past. Now, what's been going on with Sean Strickland is he has a fight on January 20th in the next 2 weeks with Dricus Du Plessis, and this is a fight for the title at 185 pounds, the middleweight division, where Sean Strickland took the belt off of Israel Adesanya after a 5-round masterclass, and then Dricus Du Plessis 2.5 months before that, 9 weeks before that, I think, knocked out Robert Whittaker, who is the reaper of the division. He is the only person he's lost to is Israel Adesanya in the past 10 years, other than Dricus Du Plessis. And Dricus Du Plessis finished him in the second round. So it only makes sense that those two are fighting for the title. They're the two right guys to do it. They had a press conference. It was an end-of-year seasonal press conference. There were 6 total people on it. The 3 pay-per-view main events, all 6 people involved in them were on the press conference together, and they start going back and forth, and it's an awesome press conference. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. But it ends up getting to a point where Sean's chirping Dricus, and it's funny, right? He's chirping him for certain things that I don't want to say on air. And then it gets to a point where they start getting a little bit upset with each other because Dricus says something like Sean pretty much won via a fluke. He had an opportunity, and he took the opportunity because it didn't have any risk. Now, he's not entirely wrong. Sean's victory, I don't think, was a fluke, but where Dricus isn't wrong is when he says Sean had an opportunity, and taking that opportunity, he had nothing to lose, so there was no reason to not take it. Whereas Dricus was hurt a little bit. He didn't take the opportunity because it was on short notice, and he was up there in the rankings, and he was decidedly the next to fight for the title, where Strickland was more of a filler at that point. They're going back and forth. They start getting heated, and Dricus starts to see Sean starting to get a little emotional, and he pokes, and Sean says something to him, and Dricus comes back with a line pretty much talking about how he was abused by his father as a kid. Now, something that we looked at and we said, this is something I don't know you should be jabbing, but then again, you look and you see it's against Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland is one of those guys that he doesn't hold back. If there's something on you, he just says it because it's what comes to his mind. He made fun of a fighter not a month and a half ago called him something that rhymes with duck because his wife's 40 and he's 26, and she wrote a book on how to court young athletes to make sure she's financially successful for life, wrote a book on it, and her ex-husband is her new husband's nutritionist, now has him on a vegan diet. It's just a funny concept because nobody likes Ian Gary, and we're talking about Sean roasting Ian Gary. And Sean, there was no boundaries. But then Dricus says this, and Sean's upset about it. And he's made it known he's upset about it. He has a right to be upset about it. But what people are talking about in the news is why is Sean playing victim. Sean's not playing victim. Sean, at the event, got into a fist fight with Dricus Du Plessis because he was so upset with this. And when Sean's coming out and telling people all about why he's upset, he's not doing it for your sympathy. He's not doing it for you to feel bad for him. He's not saying I'm playing the victim, Dricus, cancel him. He's not saying that. In Sean's own way, what he's trying to say is, guys, you're asking why I'm so upset with Dricus Du Plessis. You're asking why I jumped across the chairs to fight him in the crowd. You're asking why I'm so mad at him and I don't like him. It's because what he said pissed me off and it hurt me. He has every right to feel that way. He should feel that way. And he stood on no bullshit. He went there across and he fist fought him because that's what people do when you talk shit. Now, they're going to go fight on January 20th in the Octagon. This is something that's going to be can't miss. The press conference is going to be unbelievable. They're going to be going back and forth, but I don't want anyone discrediting Sean Strickland because he got sad and he cried on a podcast because something emotional was brought out of him. You're just not used to seeing that out of Sean Strickland, but he got emotional because of how tough his upbringing was and what happened to him was. But he's not asking for your sympathy. He's explaining to you why he's going to beat the shit out of Dricus Du Plessis on January 20th.